Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Jerry Sansing with South Texas News and Reviews. Got another program for you. I'm going to talk about some items of interest, I hope, at least very, very interesting to me and my fellow employees at Del Mar College. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the lights on and get seated, and I'll be right back. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, camera's rolling, lights are on. I'm going to take my seat and just inform you one more time. I've got to do this solo. Mr. Eddie Flores, my longtime partner, is up to his neck in alligators, I should say. So I'm going to go ahead and do this by myself. So what I'd like to do first is I am extremely concerned about the goings-on at Del Mar College, okay? And not only within the confines of being an employee and problems I've got with understanding why we do certain things administratively at Del Mar College, and I'll get into that a little bit. But not only that, but the Board of Regents. And what I need to do this evening is I'm just going to go ahead and use the dictionary for a change, and there are some terms that I need to go over with you. So I get a note from the president, Dr. Escamilla, about policies and procedures regulating political activities. And it states that I will not do any politicking and support politicians during Del Mar College time. I'm not on Del Mar College time at this moment, okay? This is my time, this is my house, it's got nothing to do with Del Mar College time, Del Mar College equipment, facilities, or anything else. And since I don't think I need to go through the, the Executive Director of Strategic Communication and Government Relations, which is Ms. Claudia Jackson over at Del Mar College, then I'm going to go ahead and speak my mind. I'm a free American, and I don't, as much as I've felt in the past when you sign your contract with Del Mar College, they expect you to just be able to ignore and to invalidate your First Amendment rights to speech. So, I don't believe in that. I still feel there's some pressure on. I can't be pressured to do too much, folks, unless it's the right thing. So I'm going to go ahead and discuss my feelings about the upcoming elections for the Board of Regents members, okay? And then I'll talk about maybe some of the other political activities going around town. Now, the first thing I'd like to do, I've got the Webster College Collegiate Dictionary out. It's the Merriam-Webster's Collegiate Dictionary, 10th edition. And I want to go over some terms that I think are lacking when we take a look at the open government and so forth that's supposed to be happening at Del Mar College. Now, I'm going to read these definitions and I'm going to equate that to something that happened to a taxpayer, and I've been involved in this too. It's happened to me. When you ask for open records, and through the Texas Public Information Act, Open Records Division, then there seems to be a lot of cover-up and shuffling of feet and shifting around and so forth. And I'm sick and tired of it. And I know that one of the members of our community who is vying for it, he's decided that with all that obfuscation and so forth and so on, and obstruction, that he would run for the Board of Regents. So I'm going to discuss this at length. But what I need to do is inform you that when you have Open Records Act and so forth made state law, it's Texas Open Records Act, and then you've got the Texas Open Meetings Act, then let's just look and see what open means, because a lot of times people just ignore these definitions and so forth. So let's see what it says about open. A completely free from concealment, exposed to general view or knowledge. Okay? So that's what the records of a taxpayer's organization and like Del Mar College, needs to be. They need to be open. You know, we don't need anything hidden and so forth. It also needs to be transparent. So let's go over and see what transparency looks like in the dictionary here. Let's see. Now this is small print and I've got my glasses on, but we'll just see if we can do this. Free from pretense or deceit. Okay? So I think that if you're going to have Open Records Act and you're not going to be untruthful and deceitful and so forth, then what you need to do is you need to be transparent also. Okay? And I don't believe that Delmar has been that way lately. Now here's another one that I doubt that we get a lot of over at Delmar these days from what I've been going through, and that's honest. Okay? So honest means, let's see, free from fraud or deception. Okay, that's what honesty means. And then we've got the fiduciary responsibility of Delmar College regents and administrators to the public, the ones that pay the bills over there, folks. Okay, so what we have here is if we have a fiduciary relationship relating to or involving confidence and trustworthiness, okay, and truthfulness. So that's what fiduciary means. So the administrators, Board of Regents members, and so forth of Delmar College have the fiduciary responsibility to make sure that you have nothing concealed, that you're honest, and so forth. And on top of that, the last one is prudent. Okay? So we need prudent use of our stuff. Okay. Let's see. Prudent. Shrewd in the management of practical affairs. Okay? So you need to have people that are prudent over there that do the right thing at Delmar College. Now what's happened recently to make me doubt that these terms can be applied over there is the following. I've been after Open Records Act, our open records for a long time through Texas Public Information Act request. Sometimes I get the information, sometimes it's all obscured. Now, back in August of 2013, I was at a board workshop when the Vice President of Business and Administration, Finance, Underwater Basket Weaving, and everything else under the sun, who's now the Chief Financial Officer, that's the short version, they've changed it. He indicated that we had some problems collecting bad debts from students and from other entities. Okay? So I asked through Public Information Act request, I said, would you please allow me to look through those papers for about 10 years? Well, there was a 5-foot stack of paperwork out. Now it went student after student after student who owed money to Delmar College. And then in the middle of that stack, I found a document that was the write-offs for third-party debts. And one of them really stuck in my mind and it caught my attention, and that was a $54,000 some odd write-off for Texas A&M University, Kingsville. And I said, what in the world is this all about? And then there was Verizon Telephone and the other entities around town. And then $89,000 to the Coastal Bend Council of Governments. So I said, what in the world is this all about? Now when I went over there, I had developed a very strong friendship with one Mr. Ed Bennett. Okay? And I won't go into what trials and tribulations that the Bennetts were going through with Delmar at the time, but it really did burn me up. But I got to know Ed. Now Ed has got a master's degree and a CPA, and he's been in the accounting business for, I would guess, at least 30 years, okay, with some very large corporations and some very powerful things, and the man knows exactly what he's doing. He is a real pro at that, and he still makes his living as an accountant for various businesses and so forth from here to the valley. Now, he was with me when we went through that, and I said, Ed, can you explain this to me? So we photographed a good number of documents that were of interest to us. But what we had was a summary of there were 3 pages. There was one that had the $185,000 write-offs enlisted individually, 54,000 plus, like I say, for Kingsville, A&M Kingsville. And then we had a document that was a memo from the now CFO, Dr. Lee Sloan, to our president, Dr. Mark Escamilla, requesting that Dr. Sloan could go ahead and write off those third-party debts. And it was initialed by President Escamilla. Now, after that, we had those were the two documents. The third one was a summary of the total write-offs of the $185,000. Okay? So that piqued my curiosity. So we tried to figure out what in the world was going on with that, and we'd hit some nerves over there. And then we looked at the staggering amount of money that students owe Del Mar College, and they were going to write those off. Okay. Now, I also asked for any documentation that Del Mar College had sent out invoices. They sent out letters of demand, and then if all else fails, send a certified return receipt letter to someone so you know that they've got it. And then what you do, if you can't get them to respond, you take it to court. You just go ahead and file for collection through, I guess it would be the JP court or maybe one of the county courts or whatever. I'm not an attorney, so I don't know exactly what that's all about. Okay, but you need to make a real prudent and honest effort to go ahead and collect those monies, because that is taxpayers' money that's being written off. Okay. Now, in that, there's a lot of room for fraud and so forth and so on, which, I'm not an attorney, I'm not an accountant, I'm just expressing my, concern that maybe there was some funny shenanigans going on with those write-offs, particularly when there was no evidence that anyone had tried to collect it. So then I asked for an update of that from August 2013. Is when we obtained that information, up until I think it was in May. Now here we are in October, and I'm not sure that I can get what I asked for. Then all of a sudden I was told that through a attorney general or a Texas state law or something, then that information that I wanted an update on, that it was provided to me in a 5-foot stack of documents for 10 years, they could withhold all of that from me. And then I complained to the Attorney General's office about that, and then all of a sudden it comes back and says, well, what we're going to have to do is a lot of those records need to be redacted of student names, telephone numbers, ID numbers, social security numbers, and other privacy issues. So if I wanted that particular information, then I could cough up about $640, and they'd go ahead and redact all that stuff. Well, in the meantime, Ed Bennett asked for general ledger printouts so he could see if he could find anything to do with those third-party write-offs. He was told that it was going to take 120 some odd years for Del Mar College to cough all those documents up. There were 105 million documents, they said, that were responsive to his request, and that it was going to take a $26.7 million check for them to go ahead and get started and provide him with that information. Okay, and it was going to take 120 years to get it to him. Okay, now anybody in their right mind, folks, would not sign off on such a letter. And I know the players over there at Del Mar, and I know the lady that signed off on that. She's the director of human resources over there, and I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I should not be concerned with that, except that maybe she was duped by someone to put her name on such a document. Now, if she did it willingly and they were trying to run Mr. Bennett off, then I think that's a true shame. Okay, so that's where it stands. And then I made a phone call to a person that I know and trust very much as a reporter. He helped us considerably with the Caller Times through the Las Brisas Energy Center debacle, and that was never built, thank goodness. but now he's over at local Channel 6, Mr. Rick Spurl. So I thank Rick for taking up, and he said, "What?" I guess that was his reaction to that. You can't be serious. Okay. Now, what happened after that was he's supposed to be the board attorney. They represent him now as the college attorney, one Augustin Rivera Jr. And he got involved with this and said, "Whoa, Nellie, this is blown up. We're all over the news. It's looking real bad for us. The public's starting to moan and groan. We've got a $157 million bond that we're trying to push through. And now there are an awful lot of people in town that have the distinct impression that Delmar's not being totally honest with Mr. Bennett and trying to scare him off with a $26.7 million bill." Okay? Now, how many of you out there can sit down and write a check for that amount to get public information, which is supposed to be given to you openly and with great transparency? Now, I think that's really kind of out of bounds, and that went on for weeks. And then all of a sudden, "Oh, well, let's sit down, Mr. Bennett, and we'll see if we can narrow this down a little bit and come to some resolution." Well, if they'd done that when they first got the request, rather than look at what they could try to scare him off with, then they could have ended that in 15 minutes. In fact, it was not quite 15 minutes. I sat there through the whole talk face to face with Mr. Augustin Rivera and one of the accounting people over there at Delmar College, and sitting right beside Mr. Bennett with the whole thing. 14 minutes and it was resolved. Okay? Now, why didn't they do that in the beginning? So again, is that being open with the public and Mr. Bennett? Is that being transparent? Were they being honest with him? Were they being prudent? And were they living up to their fiduciary responsibility to the taxpayers? Okay, so I asked that question again and again. So as it stands now, then Mr. Bennett got his general ledger printouts. I don't think they charged him anything because they were minimum number of documents. It wasn't anywhere near 105 million, and it didn't take him 120 years to pull it up. Okay, so I don't know what to tell you, folks. It's just incredible. I'm going to sip some water. I've been accused of and asked what's in that mug at times, and since this is about 9 o'clock in the morning, I doubt there's anything other than water in there. I'm not a coffee or tea drinker. Okay, so it is nothing but club soda, if you really want to know the truth, for all of you people that ask me if I've got any of the hard stuff in there. Not this early in the morning. Okay, now, so the question is, we have elections coming up for Delmar College Board of Regents members. I have sat there in a lot of board meetings over the 25 years that I've been at Delmar College, and I have seen some real horror stories unfold over there. And I have seen so much lack of interest in the welfare of the employees, students, and general workers over there, particularly faculty members, and it's been horrifying for me to watch this. But the Board of Regents never seems to want to change, or the atmosphere over there. When I got here, it was a whole lot better than it is at the current moment. Now, I have noticed that financially, all they do, the board members, are sit there and listen to that chief financial officer who has absolutely no background in accounting, finances, or anything else. His resume and so forth are on record, and I've looked it over, and several other people have looked it over, and can find absolutely no evidence that he's qualified to be chief financial officer. Then I went back and I found the document that was from the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools, where they pointed out during the last review, and that's I think every 10 years is when they have to file for that, that they were very concerned that we had a vice president of business at the time in finance, who's now the CFO, and he was not qualified for that position, and they said it should be only temporary. Okay, but the beat goes on. All right, now, so what I would like to do is see a drastic change in the Board of Regents members, okay? Now, currently we have 6 people who are looking at a Del Mar College at-large position. There are 6 candidates for that. These are elected officials, 2 of which will be seated. There are 2 open spots for the at-large members. And then we've got District 4, which is open. It's currently held by Mr. Todd M. Walter, and we have 2 people who are running against Mr. Walter for District 4 Del Mar College Regents, okay? And that's Nicole Horton and Mr. Guy Watts. Now, Mr. Watts is one that he was at large currently. He's still on the board, and he's decided to go back and run in his district where he lives on District 4. So let me go down and discuss these people. I think it's worth the time for you people to be aware of what's going on. Now, as far as District 4 goes, I don't know and have never met Nicole Horton, and I'll just give you a little bit, and this is today's caller times. I waited to film until this morning, and for the record, I don't have class until 2:30 this afternoon, and I'll go until 10 o'clock tonight. And what I try to do at Del Mar College is be reasonable, and since I'm the only one that teaches the microbiology, then I have morning classes and I have afternoon classes and evening classes during the year to accommodate everybody's schedule, okay? So this go around I've got afternoon and evening classes in the fall, and then I do the 8 o'clock and morning classes in the springtime, and then I've split it up during the summer. Now, so let me go with District 4, okay? So I'm on my time, folks, okay? It's not Del Mar's time. It got nothing to do with Del Mar College. I'm not speaking for Del Mar. I'm just voicing my opinion as a free American with First Amendment rights of free speech, okay? All right, now, Nicole Horton. She's 29. She's a homemaker. Her political experience is none. Why should you hold the office you are running for? As a concerned taxpayer, I understand the unique challenges on multiple levels. Prior to becoming a full-time homemaker, I graduated from Montclair State University with a bachelor's degree in sociology. I later became a radiation safety officer and managed the environment, health, and safety division of an oil and gas water treatment company. Okay? Fresh perspective can be great for any organization, and I hope mine can help the community of Del Mar College. Okay? Now, what are your top priorities if you win? Meeting the demand for skilled Eagle Ford shale workers, pursuing partnerships with oil and gas companies, and introducing new training programs would be my top priorities. Meeting the needs of students with special programs that offer course flexibility is equally important. I will always be dedicated to continuous improvement and a proactive pursuit of data-driven solutions. Okay? Ultimately, reducing the financial burden on taxpayers while preserving the integrity of Del Mar's mission remains paramount. Okay. Now, then we've got Mr. Todd M. Walter, age 47, occupation, small business owner, Timeless Design Group. Political experience, Del Mar College District 4 Regent from 2012 to current. Now, someone had left at that District 4, and what he did was he was appointed to go in there. These are 6-year terms, folks. Okay? All right, why should you hold the office you are running for? I believe that what most qualifies me to retain my position as a regent is my diverse education, training, and real-world experiences. With an education background in both business and design, I bring 20 years experience in corporate management and 9 years as a small business owner to the table. These combined equip me to understand and make sound financial decisions while being a creative thinker and outside-the-box problem solver. Okay? Doesn't say anything about an educational background. Okay? What are your top priorities if you win? My highest priority at this time is, and always, is our students, providing students with a cost-effective, high-quality education in our degree or certificate programs. but delivered in a 21st century environment compatible with our community's current and emerging workforce needs. Okay, as a member of the College Foundation Board, I've worked to ensure all students with the will to learn can afford a Del Mar College education. Our scholarship fundraising success won national recognition last year. Okay, well, when I read Mr. Bennett's, that may reflect a little bit more light on what's happening over there. That may be your priority, Mr. Walter, but I beg to differ with you. You've got 180 degrees the other way is what's happening at Del Mar College, and you sit on that board. I've watched you before, and you know, you don't say a whole lot. You just agree with everybody and it's shake your head, and it's more typical politician than it is a Board of Regents member on an educational thing. And please, I shouldn't say this, Mr. Walter, but tuck your shirt in before you go over there to those meetings, okay? It would sure help. All right, Mr. Guy Watts, age 72, occupation attorney, political experience, Del Mar College Regents, 1988 to currently, okay? So I guess I should say I grew up with Mr. Watts, okay? I came in '89, and he's been on that board as long as I've been there. And I'd also like to say he's just, within the last several years, earned a PhD in political science, okay? So not only that JD, and attorneys don't call themselves doctor, but he is a PhD in political science, so I'm going to call him Dr. Watts, okay? He's earned that. All right, he said, why should you hold the office you are running for? I have proposed 15 January 2015 board agenda discussion, action, motions to accomplish results, leadership, he's going to call that, okay, including creating arts and science honors programs for prepared students, shift to West Campus 1,600 unprepared remedial students, increased number of PhD faculty, tests for the collegiate high school and military students to determine prepared or unprepared. 5, two collegiate high schools, one for prepared and another for unprepared on West Campus. Philanthropic support for Del Mar graduates going on to the graduate school. Weekend college, health clinic, Preserve Fitness Center to resolve Del Mar College community's obesity and diabetes problem. Okay, what are your top priorities if you win? Del Mar students go on to become leaders in our business, professions, education, government, civic organizations. So important is that they become well-educated community leaders. Therefore, the June 2011 Higher Education Resolution adopted by the SBC, the PIBA, FBBA, and the NWBA, I guess those are the business entities around here, urges Del Mar College to maximize students' level of academic education to truly prepare them for upper-level undergraduate, graduate, professional school, and I so advocate particularly since Texas A&M University Corpus Christi will become an emerging research university. Okay? Now, Dr. Watts knows what he's talking about, folks. He's been there a long time. He is an advocate of let's improve the education, and if that takes sending remedial students back to CCISD or the school districts to have them prepared for college, let's do it. I don't think that we need to be a college preparatory school necessarily, and I feel very, very sad for the students that are coming out of those out of CCISD and the surrounding area schools like that if they can't read, write, add, subtract, multiply, or divide. I think it's a tragedy, and I think that's where we need to put the blame. Okay? Now, that brings me to the at-large people, and since I've discussed that, I want to talk about a person that was the head of the CCISD school board, and a little bit about a person that I'm sorry I just can't support. Okay? And that's Carol A. Scott. She's 54 years old. She's public relations practitioner, small business owner, political experience, Corpus Christi Independent School District Board of Trustees for 8 years, including 3 years as president of the board. Okay? Now, let me go on down here for, okay, it says, why should you hold the office you are running for? I am a graduate of Texas A&M Kingsville with a degree in business and have lived in Corpus Christi for over 30 years. I have owned a small business since 1995. As chairwoman of Representative Todd Hunter's Education Workforce Task Force, okay, I have been deeply involved in workforce development discussions for several years and know how important Del Mar College is to those who want to pursue higher education or workforce training. What are your top priorities if you win? The college's highest priorities should be continued academic excellence and remaining accessibility and affordability to area students. I will of efforts to expand the high-demand job training programs and will work to maximize the taxpayers' investments through well-run and efficient operations. Now, let me give you a little bit of background. Carol A. Scott is married to, as the wife of one Mark Scott, who's on the city council. Okay? Now, one hang-up I've got, her small business, folks, is a public relations business. And when Las Brisas Energy Center, Chase Energy out of Houston, came in and wanted to publicize things, she's the one that got the contract to do the PR work. Okay? Now, when it came to a vote, and I sat here and watched this on the city council on whether they were going to support the Las Brisas Energy Center baby killing endeavor out here, polluting just to make a bunch of money, and it would have devastated this town. And we proved that. The state agreed with my group, Clean Economy Coalition, along with Sierra Club, Environmental Defense Fund and all. The state agreed with us that it was bad news and that things should not be built here on the Ship Channel, almost downtown Corpus Christi, Texas. Now, when that vote came up, Mr. Scott voted for it. Now, I think that he should have recused himself from any votes since his wife was earning money from the Las Brisas Energy. Now, another thing that's concerned me is teachers in CCISD are under a great deal of pressure to perform. Now, the problem they've got is if they make it too tough on kids, as it should be, then we have parents over there threatening lawsuits and everything else that you're making it too hard for little Susie or Johnny. Okay? Now, that's not what we need in a public education. You, the taxpayers, are paying for that, folks. And why would you want to have force from administrators and from the CCIS Board of Trustees on pressure for teachers to slack up and make it easier for these kids to get through? I don't understand. And one thing that Carol A. Scott had accomplished was to take a 3-year contract, which gives teachers a bit of security so that they can do their job efficiently and not be knuckling under to a bunch of bureaucrats and administrators. Okay? Then why would you want to knock it down to 1 year? And it makes no sense to me at all. So all of you Del Mar College faculty members out there, you better be paying attention, because there is a big push currently across the nation with all college and university administrators to relieve faculty members of tenure. Okay? Now, tenure is not a rite of passage out there, taxpayers. All that means is you've got to have some damn good reason to get rid of a faculty member other than a couple of complaining students and whining students, and that's the bottom line. And I won't get into what happened at Del Mar here in the last couple of years. It just makes my blood run cold. And then students are given the chance to not live up to the contract and policies, and then they can go after me anytime they want to. It says 5 days if you want to file a complaint. I've got a vice president of instruction / provost that gave a student over 4 months to go after me because of extenuating circumstances, and I never got the extenuating circumstances. Anyway, I could rail on about that for hours. But no, my vote is not going to be for Carol A. Scott. I don't need anything to do with that real estate cartel city council, and then the PR people over here that didn't do diddly to increase the standing in the educational process at CCISD. And here we're looking at the trades, and they're ignoring the academics over there, folks. When I got here 25 years ago, this was one of the strongest academic community colleges on the face of the earth, and now we've slid into, as someone said, academic mediocrity. All right, so that's one of the 6. Then we have Coretta Graham. She's 45. She's an attorney, and political experience, none. Reasons for running, or why should you hold the office that you are running for? I believe that I am qualified for a position because I have a passion for education, along with serving on various education-related committees, and I have a law degree so I can read and analyze all documents thoroughly. What are your top priorities if you win? Number 1, increase black student attendance, and then diversity, in parentheses. Keep tuition affordable, transparency, and then address quality of campus life. Okay, then we have Steve DeAsis, I think is the way he pronounces it. He's 31. He's an engineer, engineering and management. That's his occupation. Political experience, City of Corpus Christi Electrical Advisory Board, 4 years. Why should you hold the office you are running for? Okay, now, I have been a student and teacher at Del Mar College, Texas A&M Corpus Christi, Texas A&M Kingsville in the math and engineering fields, and a leader in the energy industry, having managed large and small corporations. I have served the community through nonprofits ranging from leading professional organizations and advising colleges to organizing children's festivals and litter cleanups. My experience in education, industry, and community service affords me a unique capability in managing the business of educating our community's workforce. Okay? What are your top priorities if you win? Education, leadership, and innovation. We need to focus on quality of education and student graduation rates via a student success initiative. We need to match education to job skills needed right now in the coastal bend. We need to invest in innovative education programs and modern infrastructure that position the college to increase revenue without adding burden to the taxpayers or students, while developing the nation's best workforce right here in Corpus Christi. Then we have Ramiro Gamby Gamboa, 65, occupation, radiology technologist, political experience, City of Corpus Christi Human Relations Commission, chairman, City of Corpus Christi Water Shore Advisory Committee, and he gives the dates. City of Corpus Christi Board of Adjustment, he gives the dates. Why should you hold the office you are running for? I am a proud citizen of Corpus Christi that can make sound, mindful decisions. I have served in many different aspects with the City of Corpus Christi. I can use those talents that I have to implement them in everyday decisions involving Del Mar College. Okay, what are your top priorities if you win? If I were elected, I would like for there to be more programs available to students at any age and to expand the nursing programs. And I would make more seats available to students in medical-oriented programs. Also, to implement more programs available for all income to meet the rising demands of the Eagle Ford pipeline. Okay? To make sure that our students graduating are given opportunities to get into such programs after graduation. Okay? All right? So he's medically oriented, being a radiology technologist. And if you could save that nursing program out there, pal, you'd have my vote in a heartbeat. But that's another story for next show. Then we have Nick Adami, 62, occupation chiropractor. Political experience, appointed Corpus Christi Ethics Commission, served one term on the Board of Regents, which is 2008 to present. He's an incumbent. Okay? Why should you hold the office you are running for? I am a strong advocate for education, and my past experience as a community advocate has prepared me to continue my service at Del Mar College. He Foy H. Moody graduate 1970, Vietnam veteran, Del Mar College Associate Level Arts degree, okay, Corpus Christi Army Depot, and he gives the dates. North Lake College pre-med curriculum, and he gives the date. Attended, graduated from Parker College with a doctorate in chiropractic, and then Del Mar Regent from 2008 through the current 2014. What are your top priorities if you win? Developing an education workforce is always important to our community. Del Mar College must continue to develop partnerships with local businesses as well as industry in order to better prepare its students for the workforce. Also, Del Mar College campus must continue to expand to build and provide adequate classroom space that offers a learning environment suited for that particular company or industry. Okay? Now, Dr. Adami has been a great proponent of building a new campus out there at Rodd Field in Yorktown, and you know, he says, well, we're expanding our student base and enrollment and so forth, and I don't know if people are asleep at the wheel over there at Del Mar or not. They've been preaching that. I know that the administration runs around, and they've got a couple of spokespeople that they've incorporated from our community that go around and they're you know, shaking the pom-poms and all for Del Mar College, which is fine, folks, but you've got to be realistic. Now, I've purposely held off the last candidate of the 6 for at-large, and that's Mr. Ed Bennett, age 62, occupation business consultant, political experience none. Why should you hold the office you are running for? Restore fiduciary responsibility. And I went over what fiduciary responsibility is, okay? That means no deceit, no hidden stuff, okay? You need everything out in the open, which I also did, and you need to be honest and prudent about it. All right, in 2011, the cost for full-time equivalent students was 34% above the national average. Okay, so we're spending a whole lot more money per student than anywhere else in the country. Okay, and why we slid into academic mediocrity, I don't know. That tells me that we're too top heavy. I think it's the Wall Street Journal said that was administrative bloat. Okay, and not taking care of your money. Okay, from 2010 until 2013, the student head count declined from 12,236 students to 10,502. So how are we bursting at the seams when we've got a history of decreasing enrollment, folks? Okay, all right. So, see, the thing is, Mr. Bennett does his homework. He goes on the internet, he goes to board meetings, he's done that for the last year and a half, and he's paying attention, and as a very prudent individual, okay, he has a master's degree, and he also is a certified public accountant, as I said earlier, okay? So he knows what he's talking about, folks. He's had over 30 years plus experience with some of the biggest companies and industries in the country, okay? He knows what he's doing. All right, in 2008, Del Mar had the second highest tax rate of Texas community colleges. Okay, so we're paying more, and we've got this slide into mediocrity, and the student enrollment's going down. Okay, the debt per student is among the highest in Texas. How can we increase the debt per student and build a third campus while enrollment is declining? And I'd like to know that too, Mr. Bennett. That doesn't make any sense to me. Okay, what are your top priorities if you win? Retention and attraction of qualified professors to provide the students with the best learning experience possible. That's what education is all about, right there. Okay, and let me just interject this. You know, all of this hoopla about faculty members and administrators and all this good stuff, and we're hiring more and more administrators every day. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, my perspective as a faculty member, long-standing at Del Mar, and I don't think my reputation is too bad with the students. Okay, the only purpose for an administration is to provide faculty members with what faculty members need to teach students in the very best manner that they can be taught. And that's the bottom line. We don't need all these frills and all this extraneous garbage that goes on over there. And you know, they hire administrators a day over there, it seems like. I keep up with the ads over there that go out to the public, and it's all about administration. And we can't get an increase in the number of faculty members. In fact, with these early retirement incentives, we get rid of the seasoned faculty members, the good ones, buy them off, so to speak, and then they say they're going to hire new people, but in most cases they do not. They solicit adjuncts. And we've got some fine adjuncts, don't get me wrong, but adjunct is not the way to go if you want a top-notch educational process. Okay, so here we are. Encourage academic freedom in the classroom and shared governance with the professors. Now, academic freedom is critical, folks, to educational process. If I can't go in there and talk about what I need to talk about to educate my students and put them in a position to go out and be successful in furthering their education, then I'm having my job stifled, okay? And I'll tell you what, academic freedom in the classroom these days, if a student goes over and whines and says, I don't like what Dr. Sansing says in his class, and then, you know, all hell's going to break loose over there. They're going to go at me big time. So, you know, the whining students is what's got me down, okay? And not only the fact that students have the unmitigated gall to whine and think that they know more than a PhD does or a master's degree person when they don't have any degree at all but high school. I mean, that's incorrigible, folks. That's just so far out of line, it's not funny. All right, I'm going to keep going here. All right, reduce excessive administrative overhead. There you go, administrative bloat. It does not need to be there. And then when you get overload of administrative people, then they say, well, those faculty members are slacking off, so let's go over here and put more crap on their backs. Okay, let's have more forms to fill out. Let's do more assessments. Let's do this and let's do all this craziness that only administrators can come up with. And then he says, reduce the need for additional tax support by insisting that bad debts be collected, not written off and forgotten. Okay, well, I've addressed that. And, you know, and I'm going to read what Nick Jimenez said about that in just a minute, okay? Let's see. Redirect the focus of the college to education and the support of the educators providing it. Reduce administrative waste, okay? So I think from a business point of view, then Mr. Bennett's got it locked in. He knows what he's doing. He's well trained to do that, well experienced to do that. And I'll be totally honest with you, I think everybody ought to just really pay attention to Mr. Ed Bennett's quest to be elected to the Del Mar College board so he can go over there and take a hard look. I have never seen one board member in the past ask any pertinent question of the administration about the financial end of things and whether they're being honest, prudent, transparent, and so forth and so on. So we'll just leave it at that. Now, when Mr. Bennett got the word that it was going to cost him $26.7 million to fulfill his Public Information Act request for bad debt write-off information and general ledgers, then this past Sunday, this was published, okay, in the Caller Times, and it was Nick Jimenez. He's the editor emeritus. Okay, he's been at it a long time. And then you have to, this was in reference. It says, Del Mar Public Information Bill chills public inquiry. Okay? Corpus Christi. Sometimes you just have to ask, what were they thinking? Okay? This is the question about Del Mar College and its response to Ed Bennett's Public Information Act request. Bennett is a candidate for the college's Board of Regents. He is running for an at-large position, one of 6 candidates for the job. Bennett is an accountant and a former officer of several corporations in the Dallas area. Being an accountant, he focuses on numbers, ledgers, and balance sheets. In the editorial board's interview with Bennett, he struck me as a very sober kind of guy. His campaign revolves around questions about the amount of debt Del Mar College or Del Mar is carrying. In that regard, he has been asking a lot of questions and looking into Del Mar College's finances. That is why he went to the community college's offices and made a public information request. Bennett, a political novice, may be on target in his questions, or he may be completely off base. But he has the right, as does every citizen, to get public information, to get it promptly, and get it at a reasonable cost. Okay? If there even is a cost. If not, what happened? Bennett asked for 10 years' worth of general ledger transactions on 7 accounts and all accounts related to them. The request was admittedly too broad as it turned out. Okay? But it wouldn't have taken much discussion with Bennett to figure out what his real object was. That would have made the job easier, produced the needed documents faster, and best of all, meet the letter and spirit of the Texas Open Records Act. Okay? And that is, in fact, what happened in the end, but not without first producing a number of red faces, much scrambling to cover backsides, and the district distinct impression, intended or not, that Del Mar College was putting the chill on public information. Bennett was told by the college that to fulfill his request he would have to pay, and they've misquoted it. They've got $27 million. It was $26.7 million. That's $26.7 million, he said. Okay, it would take 123 years to produce the required 105 million some odd records. Yikes! Exclamation point. Okay. Now I've addressed that earlier in this show. Okay, I'm down to 7 minutes and I'll just about finish it. Okay, at its worst, the response was bureaucratic arrogance. It was a brushing aside of the citizens' right to find out what government is doing with public money. The letter Bennett received was, in effect, saying, quote unquote, "Go away, boy, you bother me." Now, after I read this past Sunday, I got to thinking, where in the world have I heard that before? And I thought, and then I came up with the answer. And I have looked this up online and seen some of the cartoons. It's a Warner Brothers cartoons, and the character was Foghorn Leghorn. Okay? So he's the one that used to say to the little chicken over there, he said, "Go away, boy, you bother me." Okay? So thank you for that. And I think that ought to go on some political sign here to remind the public that that's exactly what Del Mar College is saying to him, and that's what they've told me in the past. You know, "Go away, boy, you bother me." Now, all right, I'll get back to it. Now, this is Nick Jimenez again. At its most benign, the response was officious incompetency. Okay? The college added up the figures, produced a sum, and spewed it out. Someone somewhere within the bowels of the Del Mar bureaucracy probably still believes that they followed the rules. Okay? No one asks themselves, does this make sense? There is a question that I believe every public official, elected or not, should ask themselves before they take action. How would this look on the front page of the newspaper? Okay? No one asked themselves that question when they told Bennett it would cost $26.7 million to respond to his request. So for days after the response went public, Del Mar got pummeled in local news media for its outrageous demands. There was much hemming and hawing about what the college really meant, but the damage was done. Eventually, Delmar got its act together and got a sensible person on the case, Augustin Augie Rivera, the attorney who represents the college. 15 minutes. That's how long it took for Rivera to come up with a solution. Sitting down with Bennett and several Delmar administrators, Rivera arrived at the answer that satisfied Bennett. Okay? I was there that whole 14 plus minutes, folks, sitting right next to Ed at the table. All right, they gave him a piece of garbage to work with, and he did a wonderful job, Bennett said in admiration of what Rivera did in short order. Okay, but what if someone much more compliant than Bennett had received the same answer that he received from Delmar? Would they simply have been denied access? Okay, how many citizens hearing the story will now believe that breaching the walls of government is that much harder? How deep will the chill on public inquiry go? Okay, underscoring that public records are indeed public in a constant task, or is a constant task. Okay, government of all sorts, big and small, are continually throwing up barriers, unreasonable fees, foot dragging, obfuscations to thwart the public's right to know. In this case, the citizen won. Nick Jimenez has worked as a reporter, city editor, and editorial page editor for more than 40 years in Corpus Christi. He is currently the editorial page editor emeritus for the Caller Times. His column appears on Wednesdays and Sundays. Okay? Well, my hat's off to you, Mr. Jimenez. You've done a fine job on this one. And yes, I've had those problems. I'm not through. I've got complaints into the Texas Attorney General's office about that. I think even $640 is outrageous for things that I should have had anyway and that I have had in the past. So I'm going to keep plugging away, and I thank Mr. Bennett for this. And all I can do on this show, since I'm not speaking as the president of the Taxpayers Association or the chairman of Clean Economy Coalition and some of the other groups that I am a party to and also lead. This is not an endorsement from any of those groups because I can't make endorsements for those people, but this is my heartfelt single voter opinion of what's going on. And if if Delmar wants to continue another 20 years, which I'll be there, and receive my Public Information Act request and foot drag, then this just gives me a little bit more hope that if you hang in there, which I've done all this time and now Mr. Bennett has, that you can finally overcome all this bureaucratic nonsense and all this garbage, administrative garbage that goes on at Delmar College. So go out and vote, be prudent about it, read up on these individuals that are running, and just don't let the fact that you own a PR company or you've done this, that, and the other cloud your reasoning on that. Vote for the person that can do the most good. And if Mr. Bennett can find that much wrong in a 5-foot stack of paperwork, then he'll be asking the really pertinent questions at the board meetings, and then maybe we can straighten out the horrendous amount of money that we're spending at Delmar College, up to and including, I think he's rather concerned that we contract custodial and ground services out. Custodial something like $82,000 a month. The place stinks over there. To be totally honest with you, they're not getting the job done, and it's not clean to hospital standards, which we were promised when they hired that group on. And I think they're running roughly anywhere from $12,000 to $15,000 a month for cutting grass over there, and the grass gets a little bit too long at times. Anyway, I'm going to go shut it down. I hope I've informed you of a few things that you need to know about at Delmar College, and maybe we can get some good regents in there, 3 good ones that can do the right thing for Delmar and taxpayers. All right, folks, I'm back. It's recording, it looks like. On here, it's October 7th, 2014. Our times Monday at 9 and Tuesday at 6 are posted there. My email address is the following. You can email me at that address anytime, and I will get back with you. I get a lot of good emails, and then I get some that are a little bit derogatory, but you know, you've got to take the good with the bad at times. And then this is also available on YouTube. If you just go into YouTube and type in Gerald Sansing, then you can get an awful lot of these shows, and even the current one. So I will talk to you later. I appreciate it, and this is I'm going to sign off and just let this banner run for a few seconds. Good night.